Daisaku Ikeda's view on Shinto, natural revering, history, and religious freedom. This video explores how Daisaku Ikeda, Buddhist philosopher and third president of the Soka Gakkai, viewed Shinto, Japan's indigenous spiritual tradition. Rather than viewing Shinto merely through a narrow theological lens, Ikeda examined it from the broader perspective of Buddhist, humanism, and cultural history. On one hand, he appreciated Shinto's foundational ethos, a deep, intuitive reverence for nature, which resonates with the Buddhist worldview of the interconnectedness of all living things. On the other hand, Ikeda offered a sharp critique of state Shinto, the militaristic, state-imposed ideology used by imperial authorities during World War II. Drawing upon the historic persecution of early Soka Gakkai leaders, who refused state-mandated Shinto talismans, Ikeda consistently emphasized the critical need for freedom of religion and the separation of church and state. Grounded in published works such as The Human Revolution, My View of Japan, and his dialogue with historian Arnold Toynbee, Choose Life, this script examines how Ikeda bridged traditional Japanese spirituality with modern global ethics, advocating for dialogue, tolerance, and human dignity. Chapter 1. Connecting Humanity with Nature. Reverence for the Natural World. Daisaku Ikeda frequently highlighted the profound affinity for nature embedded within Japanese cultural heritage. In works such as My View of Japan, Watakushi no Nihonkan, he noted that throughout history, the Japanese people sought to live in harmony with the natural environment rather than dominate it. Ikeda observed how this ancient nature-revering sensibility blended seamlessly with the Buddhist philosophy of the, quote, enlightenment of plants and land. Sokumoku kokudo shikai jobutsu. In a world facing severe environmental degradation, Ikeda argued that this traditional view, recognizing the inherent dignity in all living things and the cosmos, offers vital ethical wisdom for modern ecological awareness. This chapter examines how he viewed Japan's foundational spirituality, not as a rigid dogma, but as a deep-seated cultural reverence for life. Chapter 2. The History of Shinbutsu Shugo. Coexistence of Shinto and Buddhism. Ikeda reflected deeply on Shinbutsu Shugo, the historical syncretism between indigenous Shinto beliefs and incoming Buddhist teachings. In various essays and published dialogues, he highlighted how Buddhism, upon arriving from mainland Asia, did not violently erase local Shinto traditions. Instead, over centuries, the two faith traditions forged a peaceful, mutually enriching coexistence. To Ikeda, this historic fusion demonstrated a remarkable capacity for cultural flexibility and dialogue. Rather than seeing religion as a tool for division, he viewed the harmonious evolution of Shinto and Buddhism as a historical precedent for modern civilizational dialogue, showing how different belief systems can honor each other's presence while working together for societal peace. Chapter 3. Critique of State Shinto and the Imperative of Religious Freedom. In discussing Shinto, Ikeda drew a strict distinction between ancient, localized spiritual traditions and, quote, state Shinto, Koka Shinto. In the first volume of his biographical novel, The Human Revolution, he critically documented how the imperial government hijacked Shinto in the 1930s and 1940s, transforming it into a state ideology to justify militarism and enforce ideological conformity. Ikeda pointed out that when religious symbolism is weaponized by political power, it degenerates into exclusive nationalism. This critique was profoundly personal during World War II. Soka Gakkai founders Tsunesaburo Makaguchi and Josei Toda refused to accept state Shinto talismans, shinsatsu imposed by the authorities. As a result, both were imprisoned, leading to Makaguchi's death in confinement. Citing this history, Ikeda continuously advocated for religious freedom and the strict separation of government and religion as indispensable safeguards of democracy. Chapter 4. The Manyoshu, a pure, unvarnished appreciation for life. Through his study of ancient Japanese literature, particularly the Manyoshu, Japan's oldest poetry anthology, Ikeda sought to uncover the authentic, unadorned spirit of early Japan. In his commentary, The Heart of the Manyoshu, he praised the vibrant, heartfelt expressions of ordinary people who lived in intimate connection with the seasons, mountains, and seas. Ikeda highlighted that early Japanese spirituality was rooted in an honest, transparent engagement with the natural world. He valued this simple, sincere appreciation for existence far above formalistic rituals or doctrine. This chapter explores how Ikeda found in ancient poetry a universal celebration of life, a genuine humanistic baseline that transcends formal religious categories. Chapter 5. Global Dialogues, Reframing Eastern Philosophy for the World. In his extensive exchanges with international scholars, Ikeda reinterpreted Eastern spirituality for a global audience. In his famous published dialogue with British historian Arnold J. Toynbee, Choose Life, Ikeda discussed how Eastern animistic and holistic perspectives could serve as a valuable counterweight to modern Western anthropocentrism, the idea that humanity stands apart from and above nature. While acknowledging Shinto's historical lack of an explicit philosophical system, Ikeda emphasized that its core, instinct feeling awe before the natural world, holds universal value. By linking this intuition to the Buddhist concept of Buddha nature, inherent in all life, Ikeda reframed local Japanese traditions into a broader global philosophy of humanism and ecological harmony. Chapter 6. Humanism and Cultural Coexistence in the Modern Era. In concluding his perspective, Ikeda's philosophy centers on Buddhist humanism, the conviction that the ultimate purpose of any religion or culture must be the happiness and dignity of human beings. From this viewpoint, participating in local traditional events, community festivals, matsuri, or showing respect at local Shinto shrines as part of cultural heritage is not seen as a conflict of faith, but as a healthy expression of social harmony. While firmly rejecting any return to exclusionary nationalism, Ikeda championed a modern, inclusive ethos honoring local cultural roots, while building a global network of dialogue, mutual respect, and shared peace. Ending. In summary, Daisaku Ikeda's perspective on Shinto offers a balanced and nuanced framework. He appreciated its foundational reverence for nature and its historical role in shaping Japan's spirit of cultural openness, while remaining an uncompromising critic of its wartime political exploitation. Above all, Ikeda evaluated every tradition through the lens of human dignity and peace. In a world increasingly fractured by ideological divisions, his approach reminds us that true dialogue requires both a critical awareness of history and an open-hearted appreciation for the shared cultural wisdom of humanity. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and push the like button. See you in next video.